It's not. It's loose in front. Sear fires. No, it's not. They score! Shot the puck off the stick. Play inside with it. McKenna jamming. It scores!
Thanks everybody for tuning in for another episode. We've had some awesome guests, and we have another great one joining us today. His name's Jeremy McKenna. Many of you out there will know him for his career in the Q. Before that, he actually grew up in Summerside, PEI. He played for BAM AAA. He also went to Notre Dame out in Saskatchewan, played some time out in Austria before joining the Wildcats. And most recently, he actually signed a big 2-year deal with the Toronto Marlies of the American Hockey League. So, Jeremy, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess, Jeremy, the first question that folks out there will probably want to know is like how you've been doing during this whole shutdown. It looks like you got a little bit of a gym in the background there. Like, what have you been doing?
Yeah, it's been going good. I'm lucky to have a good setup at home, so been able to get all my workouts in, and now with the nice weather, I've been able to get outside and shoot some pucks and stuff, and just enjoying some time with family. I have 3 sisters too, and I don't really get to see them a lot, so it's been good to get to spend some time with them, and I'm enjoying that.
And you guys, like, obviously the Wildcats were having like a huge year. I think you were geared up for a long playoff run. Then all this kind of, hit the fan. Like, I guess, what was your take on this year? And like, were you disappointed, obviously, considering how good you guys were looking going into the playoffs?
Yeah, I thought we were looking good. I thought, we were rolling right into playoffs. I think we had a 16-game winning streak going into playoffs. And it's unfortunate, but, things like this happen. You just have to take the positive out of it. And I think looking back, I got a lot of great memories, especially from this year, playing on such a good team. And, it kind of came to an abrupt end, but, I'll try and keep in touch with my teammates. And we just had a great year. It was a ton of fun playing on such a good team.
And like, the Wildcats in the past several seasons, it's been kind of crazy because, like, I think when you started out, the team wasn't great. Like, your first couple seasons, all of a sudden, you're one of the best teams in the country. Like, can you talk about maybe the change in like the last few years and what you saw being able to develop and kind of grow that team along with your time there?
Yeah, when I came in, we had a good team, some good veterans, and then some good young players, and then we ended up kind of selling at the trade deadline when I was 17, and we had a tough year. I think we lost 25 games in a row, but we knew it was going to be a long rebuild, but kind of knew it was going to be worth it. And having the new rink and stuff, lots of things to look forward to, kind of help you in the short run of being on such a tough team. So I think it was definitely well worth it. I would have liked to see how the cycle played through this year, but it's part of junior hockey, and I kind of got to see all of it.
And is it kind of interesting too, like just kind of from like a hockey perspective where, you get to experience that firsthand of what it means to rebuild an organization? Like, is that a valuable experience that you can maybe even take, like when your playing days are done? Like, is that cool kind of to see how that all shapes up?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think, it's tough to say. I maybe now I don't look at it as something valuable, but maybe in the future it will be. But I come from a family of business, and I know that when you get to a certain level, it becomes a business. So I know at that part in the organization, I thought that was the best way, and I would have liked to see how it played off.
Yeah, and you talked about, kind of growing up in a family business, and I know, like, in the research that you were very hands-on, like you've been involved in the restaurant industry, and you were, doing dishes from the age of like 10 and stuff. And there's a lot of kids out there. Like, is there any advice or like any kind of lessons that you learned from being that dedicated to the family business and working hard that, maybe transition to the hockey side?
Yeah, definitely. I think something my dad always said was everybody has to pull on the rope. I come from a big family, so whenever I could go in and help, that's what I did. And I thought, it teaches you a lot of things. There might be days when you don't really feel like it, but it's something you have to do to help. And I think maybe it helped pay for the spring hockey and stuff like that. So it's something I value, and I'm still going to be doing it this summer. So I think it's important, and it's good to get in people seeing you in the business. They kind of appreciate that, the customers. So it's something I enjoy doing.
And obviously, your parents, like Mark and Sarah, were really good athletes in their own right. And I'm just kind of curious, like, as somebody who's obviously going to reach professional hockey, like, what kind of role did their experience as athletes sort of play on your own development?
I think it played a big role. I think my parents are really competitive. My mom played a university soccer. My dad played university hockey. So they're competitive, athletic people, and they kind of always taught me that if you need to work hard and you need to push to reach your potential. So that's something I always want to do, is just be the best I could. And they always said you're only as good as your last game, so you always want to play well, and you never know really who's watching. So I just I take a lot of advice and reach out to my parents for advice anytime I need something, and I'm always grateful for everything they've taught me.
And obviously, you came up, in Summerside PEI for a lot of your minor hockey. Like, looking back at those days, like, is there any special memories, any special rinks that, you got to play in growing up?
Yeah, there's tons of memories. I think even to some of my former teammates and players I live with today, all we do is talk about the glory days and stuff from those minor hockey teams. And we always had a good team. We had guys like Noah Dobson, Brody MacArthur, Carson McKinnon, tons of guys who went on to have good junior careers. And we got lots of good memories from playing in the International Quebec Pee Wee tournament and winning it. Lots of Spud championships, and just a lot of fun. And we had a competitive team. We had great coaching and great teachers too as well, which helped us. Guys like Scotty Bridges, Rodney MacArthur, guys that just taught the game really well. And I think it helped us guys who wanted to learn how to see the game, vision, and kind of help with the systems and stuff. And it's something I look back and I kind of smile. We always have good memories from those days.
That's awesome. And I think for any kids out there listening, like, these are the days that maybe you take them for granted now, but like, all these friendships will go on for forever. And that's awesome. And I'm kind of curious, like, you touched on like being involved in your family business and obviously the sacrifices that are involved with that. And one thing that's unique, like, you started by moving away for hockey like pretty early at a pretty young age. Like, you went to Notre Dame and then like kind of went to Austria after that. Like, was that tough for you, or were you somebody that kind of adjusted to being away from home?
Yeah, you're right. I moved away when I was 14. It was it was something I was really excited for, and something I looked to and wanted to do. Guys like Ryan McKinnon went that I knew, so it was always something I wanted to do. I remember when I was a young kid, I got a Notre Dame Hounds jersey for Christmas, and I always wore it on the backyard rink and loved it. I think when you're a kid, you just want to play hockey and play more, and I think it's more difficult on your parents. I can remember my mom dropped me off in Wilcox, and she's kind of had her eyes open and couldn't believe that this was the place that she was going to be dropping me off at. But I really enjoyed it, and I spent all my time playing hockey there and doing school. And I look back and I realized it was an easy kind of transition because of the people there. I think guys like Devin Prott, Chris McDonald, just PEI ties I had there just made it easy, whether they invite me over to hang out with them for a little bit or helping me with school or hockey stuff. They're always there to support and help me.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I'm kind of curious, like, for those at home that might not be familiar with how the process of like going from a Quebec team or a QMJHL team, I should say, to making that pro signing, like, can you maybe give some folks at home like an idea of how that process kind of shakes up a bit?
Yeah, so this year I went back as a 20-year-old, so you're kind of a free agent, so that you can talk to most teams. I already been through the draft, I think 3 times. So you're just kind of working with your agent, and you kind of try to leave that stuff to them. Just like many kids kind of focus on the Q draft and stuff. You just kind of have to play your game and focus on things you can control. So that was something I did. And then once the season's over, you kind of get on the phone and you're having different meetings and stuff and talking to different teams. And I was lucky enough the Marlies were interested, and it was a great organization and a good chance for me to just continue to develop into being an NHL player. Another 2 years of good development and practices and stuff like that, and get some good games and play hockey as a living. So it's something I'm looking forward to, and I'm really happy how it worked out.
And as a player who's reaching that professional level, like, is there certain adjustments that you make or certain preparations that you might make to make that jump from the CHL to get yourself ready for professional hockey?
Yeah, there's lots. I think, now that I'm kind of reflecting on it, I'm trying to do everything I can. I spend almost 3-4 hours a day just whether it's working out and then shooting pucks, stick handling, rollerblading, biking. Like, you just have to do everything. You need to. It's your job. You're getting paid to do this, and you have to leave no stones unturned. So I think once you get to this level, I'm trying to steal a job from another guy, and that's how I think of it. And you just kind of have to have that mentality that you're confident and you know your game, and you just have to do everything in your power.
And I'm sort of curious, like, because, a lot of players at your caliber obviously have really regimented training schedules in the summer. They follow a very specific plan. Like, is that tough for you? Because, I mean, granted, we're kind of in the off season a little bit earlier than we're used to, but like, is that tough for you to plan when the future is so uncertain to kind of gauge that summer training schedule?
I don't think so. I think I'm a person that, I like to find a routine and kind of stick to it even in these tough times. So the way I see it, I have a gym, I have everything I need. So in my mind, I'm just getting a head start on a lot of the guys I'll be going up against. So that's the way I see it. You just have to kind of take it day by day. And even when you don't feel like it some days, after you get the workout in, it definitely feels good. And you just, like I said, you have to do it. And it's enjoyable. And I have my health now. So you just have to be thankful.
Yeah. And obviously something that's I think when I look at your, doing research on your career and like everything you've done, like I think perseverance really sticks out. Like you talked about, like, you got passed over in the NHL draft, and like you worked your way to getting this professional contract. There's obviously a lot of kids out there that are going to face adversity. Like, could you maybe give some advice to kind of persevere and kind of face those challenges head on?
Yeah, I think perseverance is big in my life. I think having dealt with adversity, especially early, helps. And I just think if you love the game and you enjoy going to the rink, and you just you do the preparation, especially when you get to major junior, you do the preparation and enjoy it, you'll be successful. And as a kid, I think some advice I would have is to make sure you're watching NHL. I think kids these days, they maybe they don't watch as much, or they wait till the playoffs. And I'm somebody that every night there's an NHL game on, I'm watching, and I'm picking some players to watch. And I think that's important. And that's something that anytime I get asked of advice for kids playing hockey, that's kind of the thing I focus on.
And the last question I have, and we're really grateful for your time. Obviously your career's taken you to Moncton, the big city of Moncton, New Brunswick, but to Saskatchewan, to Austria, and of course you're going to Toronto with the Marlies organization. Like, are you looking forward to being in that big city environment?
Of course, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm a kid that grew up watching Toronto and Hockey Night in Canada, so to be a step closer to kind of fulfilling my dream is special. And I like, people say there's pros and cons of being in a big market. I think there's a lot more pros. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a good opportunity for me and a lot of more eyes watching. And I'm excited for the next chapter of my career.
And we certainly wish you the best, and having a great off season, a great time with the Marlies. So Jeremy, we want to thank you again, and I wish you all the best down the road here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.